If you missed our live AMA on Saturday, then you missed a lot of great insights. We had a ton of questions, a lot of interaction, and here are some of those highlights. I wanted to jump on today at the beginning of the year and talk about what 2026 has in store for data engineers and how to survive all of the changes that are going on in our profession. So it is January 2026. The AI hype cycle is really actually mid gear, right? I mean, there's a lot of things going on. There's talk about a bubble, there's talk about not being a bubble, all kinds of things going on. And the reality check is here. We're going to talk through that. The era of code monkey or just moving data from A to B is really over, right? If your value proposition is writing boilerplate Python or clicking buttons in a GUI, then you have already been replaced. We are now in this window where the middle skill engineer gets absolutely wiped out by automation and budget, constraints. I don't like happy path tutorials. I don't like happy path roadmaps. You need to be prepared for battle, right? You need to be prepared for those days when you walk in and everything's red and broken. And how do you quickly recover from those situations? So I've been studying and working on data engineering, but I'm scared it might be outdated. What's the most needed skills? Let's talk through this. Maybe tell me a little bit about the skills that you've been working on. Things that are always going to be important, right? Are Python, SQL. Uh, you still need to understand the basics of things like data modeling and distributed compute. Those skills, those understandings, that comprehension of those things are still going to be very important as we move into 2026 and beyond. While AI can create some boilerplate code to get you from 0 to 1 really quickly, you still need to be able to look at that code, read it, understand it, and refine it, right? Even if you're just talking through with AI back and forth and providing feedback and getting updated, scripts, uh, you need to be able to understand what's possible. You need to understand what's going to work, what's not going to work, what's going to work best, and you need to still understand those things. As far as new skills that you need to start developing, I think it's a good idea to go ahead and jump into things like MCP, right? If you don't understand what MCP is and how it works, it's probably a good idea to start understanding that. I think MCP is going to become more and more important for data professionals and data engineers as we move into 2026 and beyond. If you don't have a good, decent grasp of what agents are, even if you don't necessarily understand how to create your own AI agent, I think that it's a good time to go ahead and start doing that. And don't be overwhelmed and scared about these things, right? If you're in data already and you understand the concepts of orchestration, maybe you understand how to use Airflow, or you've created your own Databricks jobs, then don't be overwhelmed. You're in good company, and orchestration is a very transferable skill to creating AI agents and how they interact with each other. And I think that's going to become more and more important as we move into 2026. Um, Happy New Year. Thank you. It's been a long time since I've done a live stream. We have had a huge influx of new subscribers. I wanted to jump on and say hello and say Happy New Year and talk through what our career and profession looks like as we move into 2026 and answer those questions that you have. So we started out with a great question. The great question was, um, I'm scared it might be outdated. And to be fair, I think that universities and colleges are having a hard time right now figuring out what the right things are to teach. There's so much churn, there's so much change in especially our industry and in technology as a whole right now, that they might be having a hard time keeping up. And I have friends that are in university positions that are either teaching or they're in higher education teaching, and they tell me, I hear from them that they are working hard and trying to stay diligent to keep what they're teaching relevant. Plan to start data engineering now in 2026. Should I learn normal data engineering or Gen AI data engineering? So I think that it's still important. I mentioned this a minute ago. Still super important to still understand the basics, right? You still have to understand, even for the Gen AI data, data engineering, you still need to understand things like data modeling and how to efficiently model your data and how to get it all into a place where the AI systems can get to it, right? You need to understand governance, you need to understand security, you need to understand data modeling, all those things in order to get the data into a place and uh, and cleaned so that AI can look at it and give you accurate responses and give your executive team accurate responses, right? You don't want them to have bad data to make decisions off of. That was just a few of the questions that I covered in the AMA that we had over the weekend. So, super excited to have gone live this weekend. If you want to hear more of those insights that I covered, be sure to check out the full video now.